Hey there, curious minds. Welcome to I Wonder, the show where we explore the questions you've been wondering about. Today's question comes from David, who's 10 years old. David asked, I wonder if snakes can really predict earthquakes. What an interesting thought. We've all heard stories about animals acting strangely before an earthquake hits, but is there any truth to this? Are snakes secret earthquake detectors? Let's slither into this mystery and find out.
Wow.
All right, let's start with what we know about earthquakes. Earthquakes happen when tectonic plates, huge pieces of the Earth's crust, move and rub against each other. Sometimes they get stuck and the pressure builds up. When the pressure is released, it sends seismic waves through the Earth, causing the ground to shake. These waves travel fast, but they don't reach us instantly. Could it be that snakes, with their super senses, pick up on these waves before we do? What do we know about snake senses? First, let's understand just how incredible a snake's senses are. Unlike us, snakes don't have ears in the way we think of ears. But that doesn't mean they can't hear.
What?
Snakes use their jaw bones to detect vibrations from the ground.
Whoa!
When a snake rests its jaw on the ground, it can feel tiny movements and vibrations that travel through the earth. This ability is called mechanoreception, and it's one of the ways that snakes listen to their surroundings. Snakes also have an excellent sense of smell. They use their tongues to collect scent particles from the air, which helps them detect prey, predators, and changes in their environment. But when it comes to earthquakes, it's their sensitivity to vibrations that really matters. Can snakes sense earthquake waves? There are two main types of seismic waves generated by an earthquake: P waves, primary waves, and S waves, secondary waves.
Correct!
P waves are the fastest and travel through the earth like sound waves. They move quickly but cause only a little shaking, and they arrive first. S waves are slower and cause more of the shaking that we feel during an earthquake. These waves travel through the ground, causing the earth to move side to side or up and down.
Crazy!
The theory is that snakes, and some other animals, might be able to sense these P waves before humans do, primary waves. Since primary waves travel faster but cause less shaking, they reach the surface before the more powerful S waves, secondary waves. Because snakes are super sensitive to vibrations, it's possible that they can detect the subtle P waves and react before the actual shaking starts.
Wow!
In fact, there have been reports of snakes behaving oddly before earthquakes. For example, in 1975, just before a major earthquake struck Haicheng, China, people noticed snakes coming out of their burrows, even though it was the middle of the winter and far too cold for them to be active. Could they have sensed the earthquake coming? Scientific studies, fact or fiction? Here's where it gets interesting. Scientists have been studying animal behavior before earthquakes for a long time, but the results aren't always clear. One study conducted in Japan found that some animals, including snakes, did show unusual behavior before earthquakes, but it didn't happen every time.
Oh.
This makes it tricky to say for sure whether snakes can reliably predict earthquakes. In 2010, the Chinese Earthquake Administration even went so far as to observe animals in an attempt to use them as an early warning system. They noticed that snakes would often leave their burrows days before an earthquake. However, predicting earthquakes based solely on snake behavior turned out to be unreliable. Snakes sometimes left their burrows for other reasons, like changes in temperature, weather, or just because they were hungry. So while there's some evidence that snakes can sense the first signs of an earthquake, it's not 100% foolproof. It's more likely that snakes are reacting to changes in their environment, and sometimes those changes just happen to be early signs of an earthquake.
Oh my God.
So why can't we rely on animals alone? The idea that animals can predict earthquakes is fascinating, but it's important to remember that animal behavior is influenced by many things. Changes in air pressure, temperature, or even magnetic fields can all make animals act differently.
Yeah!
Scientists have found that some animals do seem to react to these changes, but they don't always mean an earthquake is coming. Another reason it's tough to rely on snakes or other animals for earthquake prediction is that earthquakes don't always have clear warning signs. Sometimes the pressure builds up slowly, and other times it's released suddenly with almost no warning at all. Even the most sensitive animals wouldn't have enough time to react.
Oh.
That's why scientists used seismographs, special instruments that measure vibrations in the Earth's crust to detect earthquakes. These machines are incredibly accurate and can pick up even the tiniest movements, giving us the best chance of predicting when an earthquake might occur. But could snakes help us predict earthquakes in the future?
Huh?
So, what does the future hold for snakes and earthquake predictions? While snakes alone might not be the answer, combining their behavior with technology could be helpful. Scientists are exploring ways to use animal behavior along with modern technology to create more effective earthquake warning systems. In some places, researchers are using artificial intelligence to analyze patterns in animal behavior before earthquakes happen. The idea is that by tracking how animals like snakes, dogs, or birds behave, we might be able to spot signs of an upcoming quake.
Amazing.
But this technology is still in its early stages, and it's not yet clear how accurate it will be. So, to answer David's question, can snakes really predict earthquakes? The answer is maybe, but not in the way that we think. Snakes are incredibly sensitive to vibrations and might be able to sense the very first signs of an earthquake. But they're not reliable earthquake predictors on their own. There are still many things we don't understand about how animals sense the world around them. And while their abilities are impressive, we need more research before we can count on snakes or any other animal to predict earthquakes. Until then, our best bet for earthquake detection is still the amazing technology that scientists have developed, like seismographs and early warning systems. That wraps up today's episode. Thanks to David for such a thought-provoking question. Remember, nature is full of incredible mysteries, and there's always more to explore. If you've got a question you're curious about, send it our way to www.iwonderpodcast.com, and we might just feature it in our next episode of I Wonder. Make sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious and keep wondering.